Days of Our Lives has a new rumor to talk about, and it's wild. Could it be that Kat Green actually is Abigail Devereaux? If so, there's going to be a lot of heartache in Salem. Now, I know what you're thinking. There is no possible way that Kat could be the presumed dead Abigail, but ever since they announced that Anna Lynn McCord was cast on Days, we had heard that she was recast as Abigail, previously played by Marcy Miller. And then it seemed to twist around. But the question is it going to twist back? I think it might. And there's a lot of clues. Days introduced Kat as a woman with memory issues, and then we found out she was faking them. For a while, Chad Dimera believed his beloved wife was really alive, and Abby's dad, Jack Devereaux, agreed to test his DNA against hers. If you remember, the test was a match, and then Abby convinced Chad to go to Paris and remarry. But Steve Johnson realized it was a scheme, and he found out that Kat's brother, Dr. Mark Green, tampered with the DNA test. So right there, you may think, okay, that proves Kat is not Abby and cannot be. However, it actually proves that she really could be. We're going to get to that and why I think it locks it down. Stick around to the end because that's the last clue I've got for you. But I have some more stuff to lay out first, and it may convince you this rumor about Kat being Abby could be the real deal. Eventually, if you recall, Kat and Dr. Mark Green confessed that hillbilly crook Clyde Weston was holding their mother, Katharina Melunas, hostage and demanding they do his dirty work or he would kill her. Cuckoo Clyde wanted revenge and he wanted wealth. His plan was for Kat to pretend to be Abby and to marry Chad, and then Dr. Mark Green was going to kill him. With Chad dead, his wife, fake Abby, would inherit and hand it over to the villain. But Clyde didn't count on Patch figuring things out and saving Chad. So later, Kat was working with Chad, and they had an assist from Gabby Hernandez and Jack Jr. Devereaux, and they tracked down Clyde and Katharina. But if you recall, Chad was interrogating Clyde on where he'd put Abby's remains. Because if you remember, Clyde told Chad that she was really alive, and then he and Jack went and exhumed her grave, but it was empty. Just before Clyde was about to tell Chad something really important, Katharina burst in and shot Clyde. And he remains in a coma to this day, and we never heard the secret. There are many red flags and signs that support a Kat is really Abigail twist. First of all, Kat's family, Dr. Mark Green, Felicity Green, and Aaron Green, had no idea who she was initially. She doesn't look like their sister because Kat was in a car accident that supposedly killed her and their parents. Now, Dr. Mark Green knew this because he was part of the plot, so he knew earlier. But Kat later told Felicity and Aaron that she had extensive reconstructive surgery, and then Kat had to spend a long time recuperating at a rehab facility in Italy. The second thing, Days of Our Lives is notorious for wild resurrection and supernatural stories. Nothing's off limits. Brainwashing, mind control, doppelganger surgery, realistic masks, and satanic possession. So, Clyde might have cut a deal to work with Dr. Wilhelm Rolfe and/or Andre Demera to get revenge on Abigail. And this third thing I want to talk about is presuming that Andre is alive. He may be working with him. And it seems feasible because now we know Tony Demera really has gone missing. So, maybe Andre got Dr. Rolfe to implant Kat's memories in Abigail, and it could be that the real Kat survived the crash long enough to extract her memories. If this theory pans out, the real Kat could be frozen in a human-sized test tube in a Demera lab somewhere, like Bo Brady was for years. As to why Dr. Rolfe would help do this, Stefano Demera hated Abigail, so that might have swayed him to do this switcheroo. If Andre has been back for a while hiding in the shadows, which is plausible, he may have teamed up with Clyde, knowing how much he hates the Demeras. The whole Kat and Abby switcheroo could be Andre's sick way of getting back at Abigail for bashing in his head. And also, this would explain why Clyde supposedly stabbed Abigail to death only to resurrect and keep her, because he wanted to use her to torment them. Clyde would love to torment the Demeras. We know Clyde hates E.J. Dimera, but he also hates that Abby chose Chad over Ben Weston. And Clyde and Ben were both quite upset that Thomas Dimera was not Ben's child, but was Chad's baby. If you remember right now, Thomas is neck deep in this story. And Thomas was a bone of contention for Clyde. So yeah, Clyde might have decided to get rich, and also get revenge. And he had this multi-layer plan. Another red flag that it's plausible that Kat is really Abby is how much Jennifer Horton and Thomas despise Kat. Deservedly so. I'm not saying that, but Jennifer has raged at Kat. And of course, Thomas absolutely freaked when he found out Kat pretended to be his dead mom, Abby. Thomas will never understand how Chad dated Kat after she pulled that stunt. And Jen really hates Kat and won't forgive her, even though she only lied about being Abby to save her mom from Clyde. So, can you imagine Jennifer's reaction to find out Kat really is her beloved Abby after the way she's treated her? One last red flag is that since EJ and Abby had a fling before, it would be wild if Kat and EJ got together and then the truth came out. If Kat fell for EJ and then we find out she's Abigail and she didn't want Chad and wanted EJ instead, that'd be wild. We also know about Kat and EJ's Wuthering Heights connection, and that could lead to sparks. The book, if you've not read it in a while, has a really tragic ending about losing the will to live after you lose your true love, and also about a man who systematically destroyed the life of the woman he loved, who didn't choose him. There's very soapy themes there. In the end, if this rumor turns out true, we would have Kat finding out she really is Abigail. Part of this would mean that she doesn't know, and she's innocent in all this, which I think is very important for a redemption arc. And that would also mean that the Green family has to mourn the death of their sister Kat, unless she's stuck in a Dimera lab somewhere. And Jack, Jennifer, and Thomas would be horrified. They've been cruel to Abby. Chad would be crushed if Kat turned out to be Abby. But because he rejected her because he was forced to, she turned around and fell in love with EJ and decided to stick with him. It'd be so soapy. And as for that DNA test that Dr. Mark Green tampered with that I mentioned, here's how it explains everything. So Clyde had to keep Dr. Mark Green in line by holding his mom, Katharina, hostage, and he needed Dr. Mark Green to truly believe that Kat is really his sister, even if she was not. So if she is Abby, the test would have come out positive and a match. However, Clyde could have told Dr. Mark Green to tamper with the test, not so much to convince the Devereaux that she's Abby, but to convince Dr. Mark Green that this woman that looked nothing like Kat was really his sister. So, see, it's all plausible. We'll see how it plays out. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Friday, November 14th reveal that Marlena Evans will deal with a medical emergency while Eli Grant interrogates EJ Demera. Kristen Demera's abduction will also bring some drama, so let's talk about all the excitement ahead on Days. The Dr. Tom Horton Free Clinic Gala is already underway, but there'll be more guests and speeches during the formal dedication. Jennifer Horton Devereaux will take the lead at one point as everyone celebrates the hospital's past, present, and future. As for Marlena, Duel fans know she just suffered some sort of medical episode and announced that she needed to head to the hospital. It's clear that Marlena isn't doing well, so she'll indeed be hospitalized and undergo more tests soon. However, Sarah Horton Kyriakis hasn't been able to nail down exactly what's wrong with Marlena just yet. Marlena's strange symptoms and dreams may get worse once she's admitted as a patient, so stay tuned for more Queen of the Night shockers. In the meantime, Days spoilers say Maggie Kyriakis will give Sarah some updates on Xander Kyriakis. There'll be some info for Maggie to pass along, but Sarah won't be willing to just forgive and forget Xander's past behavior. Even if Sarah starts softening toward Xander, it'll be hard for her to overlook his past mistakes. Xander and Sarah won't be getting back together anytime soon, so their divorce may move forward ASAP. Back with Jennifer, she'll get some reassurance from Jack Devereaux when it comes to her desire to take the kids back to Boston with them. Chad Demera isn't on board and doesn't appreciate Jennifer's custody threats, but Jack may give Jen a pep talk and insist she's doing the right thing. Over with Gwen von Leuschner, she'll continue making shady moves behind closed doors. Gwen just accepted a giant delivery and will do her best to keep handling things while EJ's busy. Speaking of EJ, he'll find himself under interrogation. Days spoilers say Eli will throw questions at EJ, who may have to lie his way out of trouble. Next, Kristen will apparently be snatched from Statesville since she'll end up in a blindfold somewhere. Once that blindfold is removed, Kristen will grill her kidnapper and try to make sense of what's going on. Days of Our Lives spoilers say Kristen has plenty of shocking news ahead, so stay tuned. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Thursday, November 13th reveal that some gala night surprises are on the way. Will Horton will also comfort Marlena Evans, while E.J. DiMera has an unexpected encounter. Although Sammy Brady plans to make a quick appearance at the soiree, she'll be leaving Salem again soon. However, Sammy will still end up having one more encounter with E.J. before she heads out. That could bring Sammy's admission that she tried to give Johnny DiMera a nudge toward at least tolerating E.J. Sammy knows Johnny will regret it if he cuts his father out of his life completely, so she's rooting for him to patch things up with E.J. somewhat. Kat Green might see Sammy again as well, so that could trigger another memory flash. Duel fans now know Kat was apparently at the same clinic in Italy where Sammy stayed by comatose E.J.'s bedside. E.J. was covered in bandages at the time, so Kat didn't realize who he was when she read Wuthering Heights to him. Now things are starting to click into place, so Kat might explain the connection to E.J. and maybe even Sammy on Thursday's show. Next, Kat and Leo Stark will inadvertently work against each other. Although Leo and Kat would both like to learn more about E.J.'s shady hospital wing, there'll be some confusion and conflicting plans that get in the way. As for Gwen von Leuschner, she'll tackle a top-secret mission that keeps her busy and filled with anxiety. Day's spoilers say Gwen will hope she doesn't get caught carrying out E.J.'s orders, which could lead to a whole lot of trouble for them both. Over with Will, he'll bring Marlena Evans her tea and offer some comfort since his grandma clearly doesn't seem like herself. Marlena may acknowledge that she's missing John Black, who would have loved the baby shower if he were still alive to see it. Nevertheless, Will may insist John was there in spirit and work to console Marlena as best as he can. Day's spoilers say Will and Marlena have a sweet grandma-grandson bonding moment ahead. Unfortunately, Marlena's Queen of the Night dreams could eventually come back in full force and leave her more rattled than ever. Across town, Gwen will feel anxious as she carries out a top-secret mission, but E.J. will be counting on her to do her part as the gala begins. Day's spoilers say the Dr. Tom Horton Free Clinic is set to open soon, so there'll be a big celebration with more guests and speeches. Of course, there'll be some lab experiment drama going on too, thanks to E.J. and all his plotting. Days of Our Lives spoilers say this night will turn into a very memorable one, so stay tuned for all the exciting news and disturbing scenes to come. At the police station, Rafe fills Eli in on how he and his analyst partner, Kat, are working to take down E.J. DiMera. In fact, they believe the free clinic is at the center of his diabolicalness. Yes, Eli, the clinic named for your great-grandfather. Rafe declares that he, Eli, and Kat will get to the bottom of whatever E.J. thinks he's going to hide from them. Eric and Will enter the empty pub to an overjoyed Roman's embrace. A welcome home tray sign hangs over the bar. Will regrets to report that Sonny couldn't get away from work. Sammy visits Marlena at the townhouse and reveals her sparkling diamond engagement ring. "Wow," Marlena subduedly says, surprised she's engaged after 2 months of dating. Not to mention, Dante is a Vitali. Sammy defends her fiancé and promises she's going in with her eyes wide open. As Paulina goes to Sweet Bits for Johnny and Chanel's baby shower cake, Abe tries to convince Lonnie to talk Theo out of working for DiMera. But Lonnie agrees with Paulina. Theo's a grown man, and the DiMeras are his family too. After Javi and Leo discuss how hard it will be to go to Trey's baby shower, Javi worries about Leo digging for a story on EJ at the gala. His stories have serious consequences, and he doesn't know what he'd do if something happened to him. Leo promises he'll be fine, then shares how Gwen wants him to find Dimitri, but he won't do it if Javi isn't okay with it. Javi asks if finding him will give him closure. Leo doesn't know if there is anyone to find because if Dimitri wanted to come back, he would have, unless there's a reason he can't. As Johnny and Chanel frantically try to soothe a crying Trey at home, Chanel wonders if Sammy would hate them if they canceled the party. Johnny gently reminds his wife of his mother's temperament. Chanel knows they can't cancel, she's just worried about how hard this will be for Rafe, Leo, Javi, all of them. Outside the pub, Marlena explains to a grumbling Sammy that Carrie is on another continent, Belle is in court, and Brady is on a field trip with Rachel, which is why they couldn't bother to stop by. They only got 1 day's notice after all. Once inside, Roman worries about Marlena looking pale. Sammy and Eric catch up, and Johnny and Chanel arrive with Trey. Alone with Johnny, Sammy suggests he find a way to peacefully coexist with EJ. When he resists, she urges him not to do something he'll regret the rest of his life. Meanwhile, Eli and Lonnie tell Chanel they're thinking of having another baby, and Sammy tells Will she's engaged to Dante, who Will has met and seems to like. When Rafe, Leo, and Javi arrive, Sammy pulls her ex aside to catch up. However, he already knows she's engaged. She wanted to tell him herself, especially after last time, he playfully finishes for her. She bashfully grins. Happy for her, Rafe declares her fiancé is a lucky man. No matter who she's with, Sammy says, Rafe will always have a piece of her heart. You mean the world to me, he says. Always will. Marlena shares a tender moment with Leo, and then, feeling tired, decides to go home. Will takes her, leaving Roman and Sammy looking worried. Will wears the same concerned expression when he settles his grandmother in at the townhouse. Back at the pub, Sammy talks about raising twins with Eli and Lonnie and gets flirty with Rafe over cake. He teases that he's going to run a background check on her fiancé. As Johnny and Chanel leave the pub with Trey, they find Eli and Lonnie making out. A sheepish Lonnie explains they finally have a babysitter. After the new parents leave, Eli gets back to it, which leads to them canoodling in bed. At home, Johnny and Chanel marvel over their son. Chanel says it was great to celebrate with their family, but this is even better. Back at the pub, Rafe learns over the phone that Tony never showed up at his next port of call. He's officially been declared missing. Days of Our Lives, spoilers for the week of November 17th, suggest some curveballs. Fans can expect Kristen DiMera to get kidnapped. Tony DiMera continues to be missing overseas. Plus, Gabby Hernandez gets one last chance. Keep reading, and let's talk about what is coming up in the Peacock soap opera. Kristen will resurface, but not in prison. A mysterious person kidnaps the blonde from prison. It's not clear if this is someone who is Kristen's ally or a threat. The captor has a bag over Kristen's head, and she struggles in a chair, so it doesn't sound like she knew about this plan. It could also be connected to Tony's disappearance. As for Tony, he was never found, and now he is officially listed as a missing person. Anna DiMera will clearly be frantic. Meanwhile, what does this mean for the lawsuit against Titan Industries? Likely, Xander Cook Kyriakis might be questioned. There is also Leo Stark digging for answers about Dmitry von Leuschner. Days of Our Lives. Spoilers for next week reveal that Lonnie Price Grant had a talk with her father. Now Abe Carver will try to make peace with his son. Abe might also work on making his relationship with Theo Carver a bit better. Abe won't be able to stop worrying about Theo working for the DiMera family, though. Chad DiMera might take EJ DiMera up on his offer, so that could have Chad moving out of Julie Williams' house and being back at the DiMera mansion. However, don't expect Chad to allow Jennifer Horton Devereaux to get away with getting custody of the kids. As for Marlena Evans, she could end up in the hospital again. What will the diagnosis be, or will Marlena still be without answers? There is also Brady Black and Sarah Horton Kyriakis. Who will get closer? It seems that Xander blows up when he finds the two in a close moment together. It is also teased that Brady's Pub will host a trivia night, so expect Steve Patch Johnson and Kayla Johnson will enjoy the event. Gabby and Philip Kyriakis will attend trivia night together. This could be Gabby's last chance to confess the full truth to Philip. If she doesn't, and he finds out another way, then Gabby could say goodbye to her second chance at romance. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most during the week of November 17th, 2025? Days of Our Lives. Spoilers for Thursday, November 13th imply some bombshells in Salem. It's party time for the hospital, while two family members share a tender moment and someone's on edge. Find out what's set to unravel on Thursday's show, below. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Thursday, November 13th reveal that the little town will gather, along with all their out-of-town guests, to celebrate the opening of the Dr. Tom Horton Free Clinic. Fun will be had by all, but Days fans should also brace for a ton of drama. Meanwhile, Gwen Rizchek will be on edge as she'll be placed with a confidential task that will keep her on her toes. In other news, Kat Green and Leo Stark will discover they are working on opposite endeavors as they clash. Read this: Days of Our Lives. Spoilers: Deidre Hall reflects on 60 years of legacy and mysteries of the cage. Leo is super curious about the research lab EJ DeMera is working on, while Kat is his assistant. How will Kat keep Leo off track? Can she even accomplish this? Speaking of EJ, Days of Our Lives spoilers for Thursday hint he'll have another run-in with Sammy Brady. Will the two once again banter about Sammy's engagement to Dante Vitale? That piece of information threw EJ for a loop. Then again, will the two share a steamy encounter? They still have a ton of chemistry between them. Elsewhere, Marlena Evans shares a tender moment with Will Horton. The grandmother and grandson have always had such a special bond, so it'll be nice for fans to see the two together. Marlena is still struggling with losing John Black, so can Will offer any words of encouragement? Fans will have to tune in to find out. What storyline are you most looking forward to during Thursday's show? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to check back with Soap Opera Spy for all the latest Days of Our Lives spoilers, news, rumors, comings and goings and updates. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Friday, November 14th, continue the Horton Free Clinic Gala with vintage flashbacks galore, as Maggie gives Sarah news on Xander, and Jack slows Jennifer's roll. Salem gathers to celebrate the Tom Horton Free Clinic, but there's personal drama as cinematic trips down memory lane unfold. Maggie fills Sarah in on the drama surrounding Titan. Maggie and Xander are mortgaging the Kyriakis mansion in order to keep the company afloat. Guess Stephanie's book isn't earning enough to save them all, and Sarah might soon find herself with no place to call home for her and Victoria. Could that mean a reunion for her and Xander? For purely practical reasons, of course. Jennifer is still furious that Chad comforting Kat in Horton Square led to Thomas running into the street and getting hit by a car. Thomas wants to live in Boston with Jennifer and Jack, and Jennifer is determined to make that happen. Whether Chad agrees or not, will this make it all the way to court, or will Jack talk her down? For now, Rafe is determined to bring down EJ. Kat is determined to bring down EJ, and now Eli has been recruited. He's back in town to honor the Horton and Black family legacies, but while he's there, he might as well ask Eli some probing questions designed to give them the intel they need to blow his latest evil doing wide open. So what if it never worked before? It absolutely could work this time. Days of Our Lives spoilers photos for the November 14th, 2025 episode tease more drama and nostalgia taking place at the gala. While the gala continues to celebrate Salem's Horton history, many Salemites reunite throughout the night. Maggie, Kayla, Mike, Marie, and Paulina all make speeches. Julie reunites with Eli and Steven after Days of Our Lives spoilers for November 13th tease EJ and Sammy going at it. EJ has an encounter with Eli, then is forced to play nice with Paulina and Abe. Jennifer has a reunion with Mike and Lucas. There's something quietly magical about seeing an original cast member step back into the light during a milestone year. Mari Chetum, returning as Marie Horton for Days of Our Lives' 60th anniversary, already felt like a bow tied around the show's history, a familiar heartbeat in a week built on legacy. But then came the twist. While she's guiding the Horton story on screen in Salem, she's also popping up in primetime as a nun on CBS Matlock. It's the kind of double dip that makes you smile before you even realize why. Maybe because it feels like the universe is giving her a curtain call in two corners of TV she helped shape. Chetum slipping back into Marie Horton isn't just a nostalgic drop-in. It's the return of someone who was literally there at the beginning. She appeared on the very first episode in 1965, back when Days was a daytime experiment that no one expected to run 60 years, let alone 5 decades of episodes. And here she is again, stepping into scenes that honor both the late Bill Hayes' legacy and the Horton roots that helped define the show. In her early episodes back, Marie and Julie shared memories with Holly and Tate, the kind of intergenerational scenes that only land when someone with real history delivers them. You could feel time folding in on itself. Marie remembering her brother Tommy during his Mark Brooks identity crisis, The amnesia, the heartbreak, the convent, it all played like a lived experience, rather than dusty archive material. That's the gift Chetum brings. The timeline breathes when she walks in. Days has pulled her back for emotional milestones before. Tom Horton's death, Alice's passing, Doug's memorial. But this return feels gentler. Less grief, more gratitude. A chance to let her be part of the celebration instead of the sorrow. And then there's the poetic kicker. While Marie once became a nun to escape heartbreak, Chetum is now playing a nun in primetime. On the Thursday, November 13th episode of Matlock, she steps into a habit once again, only this time the drama unfolds under Kathy Bates's watch. The episode, Harm Reduction, drops her into a storyline where Maddie and Olympia find themselves helping a group of nuns with problems that run deeper than charity hours. It's a small role, but Chetum has always had that knack. Step in, lift the scene, leave a mark. Anyone who watched her steal a Will and Grace morgue moment without saying a word knows exactly what she's capable of. Between Salem and primetime, she's moving through television the way only a veteran can. Easy stride, steady presence, signature warmth. 60 years after her first scene, Chetum is still finding new ways to surprise us, and somehow making it all feel like home. Days of Our Lives original cast member Mari Chetum, who plays Marie Horton, is appearing in 2 series this week. She's continuing her return as Marie on the Peacock drama, and she's also appearing as a nun on the hit CBS series Matlock. Viewers saw Chetum reprise her role as Marie earlier this week when she and Julie gave a partial oral history of the Horton clan to Holly and Tate. One of the stories that Marie recalled was falling in love with her own brother Tommy when he believed he was Dr. Mark Brooks. It was understandable that Marie didn't recognize Tommy, as he had had plastic surgery and was suffering from amnesia. Eventually, the truth came out, which sent Marie into a convent so she could become a nun. Chetum has returned to Days many times over the years. She came back to the show in 1994 after the program wrote in the death of Marie's dad, Tom, who was played by MacDonald Carey. Chetum came back again when her TV mom, Frances Reed, passed away. Once again, a solemn family occasion brought Chetum back to Salem when she came home for Doug Williams's memorial. Ironically, Marie became a nun on Days of Our Lives because of her personal ordeals, and now her portrayer, Chetum, is playing a nun in primetime. She's going to appear as a nun in the Thursday, November 13th episode of Matlock, starring Kathy Bates in the title role. In Chetum's Matlock episode is titled Harm Reduction. Maddie and Olympia continue to test the boundaries of their friendship while helping a group of nuns. Meanwhile, Olympia and Sarah become roped into secretive activities within the firm. Chetum's other soap opera credits include playing Mary on Knots Landing, Aunt Charlene on General Hospital, and Stephanie on Search for Tomorrow. Her other credits include Will and Grace, Heart of Dixie, Young Sheldon, and Hot in Cleveland. Catch Matlock on CBS, starting at 9:01 p.m. on CBS, and Paramount Plus Days of Our Lives star Stephen Nichols is not only celebrating the show's 60th anniversary, but also his own personal birthday with the Peacock serial. The actor joined the soap 40 years ago, in 1985. Nichols was soon paired with Mary Beth Evans after he arrived in Salem, and the couple's instant chemistry ignited one of Days' most popular pairings ever. The duo's 1988 wedding shot the soap opera to the #1 spot in the ratings. Marriage wasn't death for the duo as their stories continued with the birth of their daughter, Stephanie, and other adventures. In 1990, Nichols opted to leave the show, and Patch went to that great soap in the sky. But if there's any daytime serial that brings folks back from the dead, it's Days of Our Lives. The show wisely left a door open after villain Lawrence Alamain made sure Patch was hooked up with a poisonous IV. Later, he arranged for Patch's coffin to be switched with another one. Why switch the coffins? Clearly, Days was leaving a door open for the character to return someday, just as it had with Roman, Marlena, and Hope when they all left the show. Certainly, Nichols' popularity warranted an ominous seed being planted. Nichols said he hadn't seen the episode with the infamous coffin switcheroo, but viewers brought it to his attention when he'd run into them. "That's how I learned about it," Nichols says. "I did not know." I had not watched it. What had been his reaction to finding out that the show cared enough about Patch to leave a door open like that? "Yippee!" Nichols says with a big smile. While Patch returned to Salem in 2006, Nichols had a few other soap runs in between. First, he was the enigmatic Dr. Skylar Gates in the final months of Santa Barbara. Next, he became the regal Stefan Cassadine on General Hospital. Now, he is back as Steve/Patch, and the actor couldn't be happier. How many shows last this long, Nichols says? How many employment opportunities last this long? You establish a character in daytime, and if you really establish it, you have a good chance of working for a long time, even if you leave and come back as I have, he says. Catch all new episodes of Days of Our Lives weekdays on Peacock. We're still deep in the guessing stages of the Who Shot Drew Kane mystery on General Hospital, but we can't help wondering, is the show about to pull a shocking twist straight out of the Days of Our Lives playbook? Days fans will remember their own recent whodunit when E.J. DiMera was shot and left for dead in the DiMera mansion. For months, viewers pointed fingers, suspects piled up, and everyone had a theory. Then, months later, came the big reveal when Rachel dropped that glass ball and it shattered. That very same moment, E.J. suddenly remembered. She shot him. His own niece. His drink fell, his glass shattered, and just like that, E.J. faced the truth. Talk about a twist no one saw coming. Now, we can't help but wonder if GH might be gearing up for a similar shocker. Could the shooter be a child? We've already seen a parade of suspects, and the PCPD's list just keeps growing. Plus, Drew has made himself a real pain in the neck for plenty of folks around Port Charles. At this point, almost anyone could have pulled that trigger, but what if we've all been looking in the wrong direction? Imagine this. The shooter turns out to be Drew's own daughter, Scout Kane. Wild theory, right? We know, but considering how Drew's been making some pretty questionable choices, especially trying to keep Scout away from her grandmother's siblings and aunts, maybe she finally reached her breaking point. Then again, Scout's not the only kid who might have a motive. Danny's had a rough go with Drew recently, too. Could he be the one? It's all just speculation for now. But what do you think? Could it be Scout? Danny? Or someone else? Drop your theories in the comments below. We want to hear your take on who really shot Drew Kane. Days of Our Lives, spoilers for Friday, November 14th, reveal that the gala continues as guests reflect on moments from the hospital's history and their lives, and more. Read on for Soap Opera News' full breakdown of what's coming up. It's been a minute since we've seen Kristen DiMera. Last we saw her, she was locked up in Statesville, or at least, that's where everyone thinks she still is. Albeit for a crime she did not commit. But could someone have other plans for her? According to the latest promo video, it sure looks that way. At the end of the clip, we see Kristen blindfolded as a man's hand reaches to remove it. So, who has her? And why? Could this tie into Tony's sudden disappearance? Or even Dimitri's? Something's definitely going down with the DiMeras. Meanwhile, the gala carries on as guests reflect on memorable moments from the hospital's history and their own lives. More familiar faces show up, including Jennifer, who delivers a heartfelt speech honoring Tom Horton. At the event, look for Maggie to share some news with Sarah about Xander, Jack to reassure Jennifer, and Eli to question EJ. As we always say around here, the drama never rests in Salem. So, are you excited for the gala? Sound off in the comments, and don't miss more dual spoilers coming soon. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Novi 17-21, 2025. Expect E.J. DiMera being cornered and Chad DiMera crushed. As we always do on Early Edition Day, we start with what's coming the rest of this week. Then we'll dive into what is coming next week. So on Wednesday, November 12th, we've got Rafe Hernandez uncovering something disturbing. And I wonder if he finds out Dr. Wilhelm Rolfe is back in town to work in EJ's secret lab. That would be pretty disturbing. Marlena Evans has a really hectic day and is suffering, and she may have another one of her spells. The recognition of John Black's bequest to University Hospital at the gala may trigger some strong emotional reactions from Marlena. Plus, Sammy Brady is so happy to host a baby shower for her new grandson, Trey. And of course, Johnny DiMera and Chanel Dupree are new parents. So, Sammy made sure to let EJ know he's not invited. And then Sammy rubbed it in that Rafe is Lil T's honorary grandpa. This week also, we've got Will Horton running into his mom, Sammy, and asking her about her engagement. I wonder if they'll talk more about who this Dante Vitale is, obviously related to Ava Vitale, but since Sammy is rarely on screen, I'm wondering if this character is going to pop up or if they just created him and we're never going to see him. Chandler Massey is back as Will for 2 episodes for the gala. Lonnie Price and Abe Carver sit down and discuss her brother, Theo Carver. Lonnie is telling her dad that there must be a reason why Theo feels that he can open up to his stepmom, Paulina Price, but not to his own dad. I wonder if Abe will have second thoughts about working with Theo's uncle EJ to unseat Theo from the CEO position. On Thursday, November 13th, we've got Gwen Rizchak on edge. She's got a secret mission. Now, this could be because of her Leo Stark thing, where she's trying to get him to go out of town to look for Dmitri von Lochner DiMera. But Leo's also head over heels in love with Javi Hernandez. So, I don't know how well her plan's going to work. I'm interested to see if Gwen has something to do with Kristen DiMera's kidnapping, which may start on Thursday, but definitely comes to fruition on Friday. Marlena and her grandson will share a sweet moment. I'm sure he's checking in on his grandma's medical condition and fainting spells. He's also at the gala and has his daughter, Ariana Horton, on his arm. So this is going to be, I think, his last episode. Sammy and EJ have another run-in, and it's no less awkward than the last one. Sammy has 3 episodes, and then she leaves Salem to go back to her gangster fiancé in Italy. I wonder if Sammy is again going to warn EJ to keep his distance from Trey, like he said he would. Leo and Kat Green are working at cross purposes as they are both looking into this sketchy lab. The Horton Clinic Gala kicks off on Thursday. On Friday, November 14th, we've got Jack Devereaux returning to support Jennifer Horton, who is gearing up to fight for custody of Thomas DiMera and Charlotte DiMera. Jennifer is also doing the keynote speaking and talking about the Horton family at the gala. Eli Grant has questions for EJ, and I wonder if these are about Theo or EJ's true intention with the free clinic. Maggie Horton-Kyriakis has an update for Sarah Horton about Xander Cook. He's been working very hard to save Titan. Also this week, Kat's looking gorgeous and slinky for the gala. She's carrying her Wuthering Heights book in the square. And I wonder if she's hoping to run into EJ because she just had that memory flash. Also this week, Kristen is kidnapped fresh out of Statesville, still in her blues, blindfolded, asking where the heck she is. We're also going to see Julie Williams' brother, Steve Johnson, this week, and Sammy's twin, Eric Brady. Also returning to Salem for the gala are Paul Narita and Andrew Donovan. I'm sure it's related to John being mentioned for his bequest, since that's going to be part of the gala presentation on Days of Our Lives. The week of November 17th through the 21st, we've got a big umbrella story launching that's going to revolve around EJ's new lab. If you don't know what an umbrella story is, it's a plot device that has a bunch of smaller storylines that all connect into that bigger EJ Lab Twisted Science storyline. This obviously has something to do with new Stefano DiMera and what's going on with Marlena. They've been building up to it for so long. Hopefully, we'll get some fruit off this slow-going tree soon.